I've been so busy I haven't played with my Vive XR Elite in over a month, and yet it now has its three killer apps. Oh, get my hand tracking back. My room's too dark. Okay, fine. It's just detecting my motions of the controllers. So, hand tracking has had some changes. It's not detecting my hands. They've re-engineered hand tracking. It works better in some situations. I have very low light right now, so I can't actually pick up the hand tracking too well. And with these controllers, any bit of motion flips it away from the hand tracking, so oh well. And there's also a funny issue that just cropped up with the redesign of the hand tracking that makes the 3D models not go away, and they just like get inside your face, which is a little bit annoying. But they are currently working through a lot of those issues and fixing bugs in regards to that. A lot of people are curious about VRchat and whether or not it uses hand tracking. Well, in short, it does not. So it doesn't currently use the hand tracking of the Vive XR Elite, but I believe the VRchat dev team is working on that, so I'm kind of curious to see how that comes along. A couple other apps that I think are really great is Sushi Ben, the only one I ever paid money for. That one is beautiful. It runs at like 78 FPS, 72 FPS constantly. Vive Desk is finally out of alpha, or beta, I mean. But today we're going to be taking a look at VRchat. Now, it does not do hand tracking. Everybody seems to mostly be interested in answering that question, but now we've answered that question. It doesn't do hand tracking or finger tracking yet. Now, before I record a video clip in each world I visit, I'm going to stop the recording and I'm going to pull up the FPS counter. So with this one, without recording, it was hitting a solid 45 FPS. And this is a little world that I put together called Catesis Hyperboreae. Some people may know it. And I've recently started seeing maps that have transparent textures on Android, and I really want to figure out how to do that. This level, it is designed about to the limits of the Vive XR Elite because it has a little bit too many light sources. If we go outside, which I have it broken off into different worlds, the outside is only one light source. Checking here as well. So without recording, it hits exactly, like it perfectly hits 45 FPS, which is what the game pretty much is locked to. Although, if you go to one of the, like some of the plain worlds where there's nothing loaded, they can actually reach 60 FPS. Some levels can have graphics in them and still reach 60 FPS, but it's a little bit rare. This one, only having one light source, simplifies all of the mathematics. And even though I've done a lot of work to get down the size of this level, it still renders quite a lot of polygons, and so that is not too good. But it's about at the maximum of what the Vive XR Elite can handle. Let's go to a world that looks even better, such as this one has gotten really popular all of a sudden. It was published recently, updated today, and I think just today it got out of Community Labs, if I remember right. Now this representation of Ocarina of Time, it's a little bit annoying because every time somebody joins the world it makes a sound, but this is a really nice little level. I believe it's the rip of the Ocarina of Time 3DS variant. So we're hitting 42 FPS. I'm going to stop the recording and check. Oh yeah, so as soon as I stop the recording, it just shoots right back up to a solid 45 FPS. Oh, whoops. Okay. Oh good, it's muted. I didn't want to be making sounds. See, look at this. They have transparent textures. I wonder how they did that. They also have these little weird spires coming off, but oh well. I'm actually thinking about trying Resonite, because I've heard that Resonite actually allows you to design it in the game. You can make worlds in the game, so that sounds pretty cool. But VRchat, being in the Vive XR Elite, that makes me pretty happy. Now, another world I like is Trista Town and School from Trails of Cold Steel 1 and 2. Oh, that's that sound from the UI. Now for Trista, we get a solid 30 FPS. Right now it dips down a little bit more. It's funny, if your FPS is around 30, then recording doesn't add a whole lot to it. But if it's much higher, anything will cut it away. Similar to how having just an open plane, you can easily get 60 FPS or even like 65 or 70 FPS. But as soon as your hand comes into view or anything like that, it drops way down. Well, that has to do with just how fast the chips need to run in order to operate at multiple, like more than 60 FPS, because a lot of our modern microchips just can't keep up with that. You have to run them down to like only use a little bit of it just so you can get the information out fast enough. And so a lot of these, like this headset's being underutilized. It's being run at full scale, but for every 1/60th of a second, it's only using like a tiny bit of the time, and then it doesn't do many calculations while it waits for the GPU to draw it, and then it waits for the LCD to update it and stuff like that. So a lot of the capabilities of these headsets are now sitting on the table unused. Even while recording, this is really not jittery or anything. Now in the recording, it's really jittery, but oh well. And now as for the recording, streaming to a television is similar. Or streaming to, well, whatever the streaming devices you can use are. I don't know what the term is for that streaming service, but streaming to your view to another device is about the same as recording. I love this house, this dorm or whatever. Takes a little bit of a FPS hit, but that's fine. That's fine. What I like is like how crisp the image is. I've done some modifications to my headset, well, not using the face gasket, and that has improved the clarity so greatly that I can see the scan lines effectively. I keep being self-conscious about other people hearing me, so I keep checking is it muted. Like that. I really like this mat. I really like this one. Now, sadly, I've actually been succumbing more often to the low frame rate of some headsets. And like I used to have a Rift S, and I used it with a GTX 960. And after a while, you know, it's funny. I used to run things on a 590 or 580 or whatever it was. And oh yeah, we didn't have the 90 series. We went 580. And it was a original HTC Vive, and I didn't have any issues of motion sickness back in 2016 and 2017. And then my Rift S, I was okay for a little bit, but then I started getting like a sensitivity to it. And I'm so glad that some worlds in this headset's all-in-one version run on like at least 45 FPS. Sometimes they're down to like 30, but overall, it's good enough. But now I'm more sensitive if there are like if there's like a dip in the FPS. It's just something I've noticed over time. Kind of like how one time I actually didn't have a CRT TV in my life, and it was like 2 or 3 years since I'd used a CRT, and whenever I finally used one, how do you do this? Oh yeah. And whenever I finally used the CRT, it actually was a little bit hard because I had to deal with the flickering. And then after a few weeks of using a CRT TV again, I didn't have that issue anymore. But that was a funny issue to come into, where I actually got sensitive to the flickering of a CRT again. And I never realized as a child that, I grew up around CRTs, and I never noticed that. Of course, I still hear the high-pitched whine, so I can still hear that. But yeah, I never noticed the flickering, and it actually was quite a bit of an issue because I wanted to play some Nintendo games. Well, similarly, and now also not similarly, I developed a sensitivity to lower FPS on headsets. I just can't get away with the lower frame rate, so I need at least this, and then I'll be good. Because like this, I'm fine with. I do get a little bit tired. Oh, I guess the weather just changed. Let's go to a different world. Now this world, Geofront, I believe this was made by the same people actually. And unfortunately, this one has always ran pretty garbage. It even looks kind of jittery sometimes. So this one can maybe be a little bit sick on the Vive XR Elite. Not so much like motion sick, but it's just my eyes get sore and I start getting a headache. But clearly they had a lot to learn from making this, and they learned a lot. Yeah, 22 FPS. I would love for Shader Fest to work on Android, but sadly, I don't think any all-in-one headset is going to be able to handle that for a number of years. So let's finish it off with Sewer Party. This is an absolute meme of a level. And this world, Geofront, it just takes too much power. Meanwhile, this level, it's even going to 46 FPS because it's basically a Nintendo 64 level. Look at this beautiful graphics. We have all the JPEGs, all the best this, and I think we will leave it right there. That is enough VR chat for one day. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. See ya.